that loyalty becomes to the people in our lives, even in spiritual spaces, as opposed to God first, me
Mm.
second. God first, me second.
Welcome back to Please Don't Call Me Strong right now. Today, we're talking about strength, exhaustion, rest, and support through a spiritual lens. My special guest and sister friend is Johna Hill. Johna is an award winning speaker, author, entrepreneur, and faith driven storyteller whose work helps women reconnect with their faith and identity beyond expectations and survival. I love that. Johna, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Dr. Erica, thank you for having me today. So
Yeah.
glad to be here in your illuminous presence today. You know, you shine in light and light continues to shine through you. So that's amazing.
And we will shine light through this moment. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. When you hear a woman say, please don't call me strong right now, what comes up for you spiritually?
When I hear a woman specifically say, please don't call me strong right now, I also hear a cry. Then this mantle that is put on women to be strong, to carry the weight, to just keep moving and keep continuing to go. I hear a cry of, but I need me right now. I need time for me right now. I need time for rest right now. And I feel like, ironically, there is strength in the pause, there's strength in the rest, there's strength in even articulating, please don't call me strong right now. I feel like, although that may sound like a sense of weakness to some people who may hear it, there's a lot of strength behind someone who can voice, who can muster up, hey, in this moment right now, I just really don't feel my strongest. God's word said we are made strong in our weakness. And that's what pulling on through the strength of God and understanding, hey, I can't do this by myself. And I think it takes a strong woman to understand that I can't do this by myself. We're not designed to do life by ourselves. And I think that is what is heard behind, please don't call me strong right now. It's like, I need some reinforcement, wherever that may come from. Is it from God? Is it for my ministering angels? Is it from my tribe? Is it from family? Is it from my friends who've become more like family? Hey, I need some reinforcement.
Reinforcements. Yeah. And I guess diagnostically, if we think of faith-based communities, you talked about it takes strength to muster up the strength to say, please don't call me strong right now. If we think of diagnostically faith-based communities, what do you think we're seeing in terms of women in faith-based communities showing strength, masking strength? What do you think?
Think what we see in faith-based communities with women who carry the mantle of strength, it looks like holding communities together, whole communities together. It looks like showing up for your family. It looks like not even knowing and understanding how things are going to come together, but having the faith and the understanding that it will come together. But it also seems like with women, sometimes it's hard to ask for what you need. Instead of asking for what we need, sometimes we try to become what we need. And so we wear all of these different hats. Like, I have to be the chauffeur for the children. I have to cook. I have to clean for the family. I have to be at Sunday school at 7 a.m. at the crack of dawn because I'm helping in my community. I'm helping in church and in faith-based communities. And although those things could be great, I also think that as women, we have to know what we can carry on our plate respectively well, and some things that we can outsource, some things that we can get others to help us with. For example, when we talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, we talk about a woman who was up at the crack of dawn. She was sewing her own garments. She had maid servants, young girls who were helping her. And I think if we have that mentality of being empowering woman, we understand that we can't do it all ourselves. And part of that is reaching to the next generation. Part of that is understanding I have to create the type of environment, the type of community, but the type of system where I can have hired help. because I can't do everything. But I can have hired help. I can have maid servants, and maybe it's not maid servants in today's world. Maybe it's just help around the house. It's a nanny, it's an au pair, it's a cook, meal prep, whatever it is, because some days we have it all together and we can do all of the things and we cannot miss a beat. And then there are some days where it's like, wow, I don't even know how I was doing all this the past 3 weeks. And now here I am. And I'm like, okay, I need to pause for a minute. And that's okay too. And that's okay too. But I think in the faith based communities, a lot of women are holding down the faith based communities, being the ones that are going out evangelizing, ministering, bringing in the people, having the food banks and things like that that allow people to come and gather and get food for people who are in need. I think a lot of that is spearheaded by a lot of women who do a lot of the boots on ground. Of course, the men are there too. They help out. They do a lot of the work too, but I think a lot of it is funneled through the hands of a woman. The hands of a woman. It's something when a man has a vision and a woman can help bring it and manifest it. And I think a lot of women are manifestors. That's why we give birth. We're manifestors. Men are visionaries, but women are manifestors. And there's a book, Rocket Fuel, if I'm not mistaken, Rocket Fuel, and it talks about the difference between your integrators and your visionaries. And I think if bringing this business book into more of a spiritual realm, you'll find a lot of your women being the integrators. And a lot of men visionaries, a lot of women visionaries too, but the bulk of, if you had to kind of categorize it, you'll find a lot of women being integrators where they're taking visions and manifesting them. They're hearing the vision and manifesting them. And it's understanding that we can do that, but we can employ others around us. We can employ the community that we're trying to serve to help, to come to that rescue, to be the first people to come to their own rescue. And it takes a lot of understanding who we are, what we can and what we can't do to be able to bring on other people in the community to help with those efforts.
Thank you. In my work and as a Christian, like in my personal community, a lot of time what I see women who are labeled as strong doing is like pushing themselves past the point of their strength.
Yes.
And from a faith based perspective of, if God brought me here, then I must like be able to have my back broken
Mhm.
and keep
Mhm. Mhm.
on doing this. And so I don't know. I wonder if we can kind of dialogue about that. The idea of like, no, God brought me here. And so I'm supposed to like literally be at the point of burnout. And
Yes.
and it's not burnout. If I was more faithful, I wouldn't be feeling burnt out.
Yes, yes. I have been there. I have walked a very serious season in my life more than once, but one in particular season in my life where I was heavily burdened by the load and the work that I had. I worked in community. I was working in project management for quite some time. And when you are a strong woman, particularly a strong Black woman, who oftentimes we don't even show how the load is impacting us.
That part.
We carry the load, and outwardly we don't show how how the internal implications of that carrying that load is. And it gets to a point, if you don't explode, you implode kind of thing. If you're not vocal, if you're not sharing, hey, this is what I need to help take the load, you internalize all that, and that is not good for our health at all. There's so many different ramifications, health ramifications that can happen to us by carrying and internalizing a lot of the stress. And for a lot of Black women, this is the case. And I just remember this time where I'm working, Dr. Erica, I'm working 16 to 20-hour day shifts, 7 days a week. I was working as 2.5 program managers because we had just taken on a new contract, not having yet finished an old contract yet. And I was burnt out. I was burnt out. I used to have a joke. I had a joke in the office. I was like, if you ever see me grab my purse and my keys and I just walk out, just know that's the day I've had it. So I used to joke, purse and keys is a purse and keys day because I'm this close. And I only shared that with like one of my closest cohorts, like purse and keys. And it got to that point though. I never thought it would get to that point, but it did get to that point where I found myself like, yo, I really don't know how much of this I can take. And I tried to be vocal with my manager at the time. And I think it was kind of taken with a grain of salt as, no, you've You got this. I've seen how you work. You've got this." And I'm like, "No, really, like, this is a bit much." And when it comes to the burnout, when it comes to people not really and I think when people say, "Oh, you got this, you make it look easy," what they don't see is what's going on internally, though. Externally, I'm presenting, "Yeah, I got this and I can do this," but this is at the detriment of me. This is at the detriment of my health. And if I'm vocalizing, "Hey, I'm almost reaching my limit," I think we need to, especially with Black women, we need to tune our ears to hear differently. Even before they even have the opportunity to say that, though. I think we just need to be channeling our Black women, our women in general, differently. Women, just women, and hearing what's not being said sometimes, and just really, and that comes with using discernment. It comes with knowing the people around you. It comes with really understanding humanity and understanding that, no one person should even take on this much work. And some people make it look easy. That doesn't mean it is. That doesn't mean it's not hard for them. And so burnout is a real thing, and I went through that, and to the point where I knew God. A little testimony is long, so I won't tell it, but I knew that I was going to be leaving this particular project months before. And I said to myself, "Man, I don't see myself here past this specific date," which was February. Now, push come to shove, we're in February of this year, and I'm like, "Man, I'm still here, so I don't know what's gonna happen." I cannot make this up how faithful God is, because that was a spiritual download. It was a spiritual download. It was a leap year. On February 28th, I got a call, and that call changed my life. And it was my manager, who was my ace boom coon, who, like, I was his right-hand man, so to speak. And he didn't trust anybody like he trusts me. And we needed to do layoffs at this organization I was working for, and I was feeling very disheartened by these layoffs, because this is not how we normally work. And we just hired a crew of people, and like, people, they left their jobs to come here, and now we have to lay off some of these people. I volunteered. I volunteered to be laid off, and I think he thought I was joking, but this is the same person I was like, "Hey, yo, I need some time. I need some time." And it was right the day before I was going on a 3-week vacation, but I volunteered. I said, "You know what? If we," and I had been working for this organization over 10 years at this point, and I was like, "It's time for me to take a step back. It's time for me to reflect. It's time for me to do what I need to do for myself." And that took a lot of courage, because honestly, and this is probably the biggest revelation that I got about myself, but also about other people. I can be loyal to a fault. I can be extremely loyal to a fault. And God had told me during that season, loyalty means nothing
Hmm.
unless I'm first and you're second. Everything else does not matter. If your loyalty is to this job, if your loyalty is to this program, and it was good work in the community, granted, but if my loyalties are not in the right order, it doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. So when it got to the point for me to kind of raise my hand and say, "Hey, put me on the list," it was almost like an outer body experience. It was like, it wasn't even me talking, because I know how loyal I am, but it was like something in my spirit, my inner child said, "Hey, I need
Yeah.
out of this. I need to get out."
Yeah.
And it was probably no doubt about it, one of the most freeing experiences and decisions I've had to make in my life. And hard, very hard decision, but I'm thankful for that. And there are other people who are burnt out, other women who may feel like that, and not heard, not seen, not felt, in the sense to where they can be vocal about what they need. And I think we just need to be more mindful, tune our ears, our antennas, to listen, not just with our ears, but to really listen and pick up on the cues that other women are trying to tell us when they need that help.
Listening to each other, caring for each other, and
Absolutely.
listening to God, like what I or whatever higher power people observe. But when I hear you talking, me from a Christian standpoint, when I hear you talking, it makes me think about, and I'm a paraphrase because I'm not a theologian, the idea of praying without ceasing. And so it's not just like hearing God's orders
Yeah.
in the beginning. It is every step along the way discerning, am I supposed to be taking this?
Mhm.
Being in prayer, making sure that there's not a, I always use the analogy of like, who's driving the car? Is it you or God? And, you know, making sure you're not in a tug of war of that. And so if you're not careful spiritually, you could like get in the car and really God just like helped you start the ignition when God is supposed to every step along the way
Right.
be in the driver's seat and you're supposed to be in the passenger seat.
Right.
And particularly Black women, the awesome thing about us is that like we can do so many things that I believe is closely linked to our historical generational tools of survival. But we have to be careful to not do things that God didn't actually mean for us to do. Because we can do lots and lots of things and do them well, but it may not actually be ordained by God.
Finger snaps. Yes, that's so true. But that's where that discernment, like you said, it's key. It's so key. I'm sure that you have talents. I'm sure that you have skill sets. And although you can do them very well, it's just not the season for you to be doing those things. And that comes with the level of not just discerning what's what, but that hearkening that ear. And trust me, I haven't had that tug of war with God. And I'm trying to drive, and I'm like, oh, I forgot I'm supposed to be in the passenger seat. And I think we all have. And whether it's, I almost feel like it doesn't really matter what your faith is. If you have a level of faith, it's understanding that there's some things that you can do rightfully in your humanity, and there's other things that you need to do eh, outside of your humanity in a spiritual realm, if that makes sense. And and this is bringing this up for me, even this week, I've had to continue to remind myself. I think I've forgotten this, but I had to remind myself that I am a spiritual being having a human experience, because humanity can get in the way of, and all the things that we deal with just on a human level can be a distraction of what needs to be done spiritually. But if we're discerning and we're staying connected through that prayer without ceasing, we're staying connected to our source, our true source, humanity becomes secondary, and we are then operating first out of our spirit. And the humanness in our body becomes that vehicle you're talking about. But the one who's driving it is not, it's not on autopilot. It's not the body just driving. Because I'm sure you've gotten in your car sometimes and without thinking about it, I forget what it's called, but it's like without thinking about it, you just end up to where you need to end up because
Mhm.
it's muscle
Muscle
memory.
memory. Yeah.
But if your spirit is truly driving, the body follows with what is put in your heart, what is put in your spirit by God, who's really navigating. So I think that's a good analogy. I think that was a really good analogy to you.
Mm, mm.
And I needed that. And I
Girl, goodness, you're sewing into me right now, so happy to sew into you. Makes me, I guess, one of the last points that I want to touch on is just a lot of us get involved, especially in ministry, and feel this obligation, even though, we are at our wits' end. Maybe all these other things are falling apart, but like Pastor so and so, or First Lady so and so, or Sister, like have these desires for us and know we can do this in the ministry. And if I drop this, am I going to be showing, disloyalty to God? I don't know. What do you think about?
I feel like you're reading one of my old diaries right now.
I know. I ain't see
No,
it.
I know you didn't know. I actually used to work in ministry, and so I can completely understand where that thought process comes from, because this is so interesting how this is coming full circle for me. But when your heart is right in God and when you want to be of service, we give our time, we give our talent, we give our treasure, which is our money, our physical time, and our talents. And so what we're talking about here is our talents. And oftentimes those same skills that you have, let's just say, Dr. Erica, you are really good administratively. Let's just say that you just have a knack, you type A personality, you just have a knack for organization, you have a knack for certain
I
things
am
being a
not,
certain way.
but let's do it.
Hypothetically.
Right. Hypothetically.
Let's just say you are, and people see that skill set, so naturally it might be, hey, this might be a good transition for you into ministry to help out, but your calling might be to do dance ministry, or your calling might be to minister. And so although you are known and seen in I don't want to say put in a box, but you can sometimes be put in a box of doing one particular thing. Even if you are a part of this ministry, that may not be what you're called to do in this pocket of community, in this pocket of ministry. And sometimes that's hard because the humanness, the human side of us doesn't want to let people down sometimes, or you feel like, man, am I letting God down? Because I'm being asked to do this, but that's not what I'm feeling called to do right now, or I can help with that, but then your spirit becomes miserable because it's taking time, which the time we're supposed to be given is taking time from what God is really calling you to do. Dr. Erica, God said, you are doing this dance ministry. And you're like, okay, that's what I want to do, but they need help with this. And so every time there's an opportunity where you could even give to the younger generation, ministering through dance or whatever it is that
Mhm.
you're called to do, it says again that loyalty becomes to the people in our lives, even in spiritual spaces, as opposed to God first, me
Mm.
second. God first, me second.
Yes. Yes. I feel like that is such a powerful takeaway, not just for the women who are considered strong in faith based communities, but also for faith based communities that make the ask, right? That like God first and humans second. So even though Sister so and so may have this need in the front office, whatever, like, is God telling Sister so and so, don't tap Jonna for this task? And is Sister so and so listening? Right? Because there's an onus not just on
That's
the
good.
strong woman, but the people, the communities around her to see her, like you said, sisters to see each other, to
That's
see
good.
her and to say, you know what? I hear that you're supposed to rest, and faithfully, I'm going to honor it.
That's so good. That's so good because faith-based organizations are ran like businesses sometimes, unfortunately. And sometimes we get so caught into the business side of running a faith-based organization that we don't take time to hear from God on the people who are appointed to do certain work within the ministry. And sometimes that can cause more damage, even spiritually. Sometimes that can cause more damage than it can help for the organization, the community at whole, and individuals. And I think that is a very good point. And because honestly, it shouldn't be new information. If there, for example, if Sister so and so, who's on the board at the church, who makes decisions, has her ears hearken to God, whenever said person and Sister so and so come together, it's going to be a confirmation. It's not going to be new information. It'll be confirmation. Oh, you know what? I was thinking of, we needed to create this ministry, maybe a book club. And here you come saying, hey, I'm feeling called. We need to do a spiritual book club. It's confirmation. So it takes in this is understanding it's not just one person. It takes the community. It takes more than one person to understand what the needs are. And they can always change. They can change. They can change, and being open to that, being open to the roles changing when they need to.
Being open to the rules changing when they need to. I could talk to you forever, but we need to wrap up.
Problem.
My main takeaways from what you just said is like faith based communities loving on each other the way you want to be loved. And so, like, truly listening and seeing each other spiritually and loving each other more than the execution of the task, even. God will take care of that. God will take care of that. And it's important not to like leave any of us hanging in the wind in the prioritization of the task. Jonna, thank you so much
You're
for
so
helping
welcome.
us talk through this and to think through this. How can people get in touch with you? How can people find you?
Yes, the best way to get in touch with me would be through my email. So my email is jhillspeaks@gmail.com. That's JHILL speaks@gmail.com. And that's the best way to get in contact with me.
As y'all all heard, Jana is just a wealth of wisdom and spiritual anchoredness and love. Just all have love just oozing off you. So thank you for sharing of your gifts and answering the call, Jana.
Yes, thank
And
you for having
thank
me.
you for everyone for joining us on this journey. And I will see you for the next episode of Please Don't Call Me Strong. Welcome.